In this tutorial, we're going to go through the process of installing a virtual machine on your host OS. Your host OS is the operating system you run on your laptop or desktop, whether it be Windows or Mac OS. In my case, I'm running Mac OS. After we install the virtual machine on the host OS, we will then install Daedalus on the virtual machine so that you can run Daedalus from the virtual machine and not your native operating system. Now, if you think about all the different options that you have on how to build the system and how to install Daedalus and where to operate Daedalus from, what you come up with is a list that's pretty close to, or if not identical to, the list that's in front of us here. This is based on a GitHub YubiKey guide post. So I extracted that from, or took that from that guide. And what they have listed is the least secure modality is your daily use operating system. In other words, if you run Daedalus directly on your Windows or Mac OS that natively runs on your laptop or desktop, that environment is the most likely environment to get compromised because, for example, if you have a laptop, you're taking that laptop different places, connected to different networks, you're visiting different websites, you're reading email. Email, of course, is a big target for phishing attacks and links that could host malicious content. So if you're running Daedalus in that environment, you are in the most precarious position possible. So by running Daedalus on a virtual machine, you increase the level of security for Daedalus. So that's what we're going to show today. There are several more secure ways of doing this as well. If you do a dual boot system, so in other words, if you have partition your hard drive and you run your native OS on one partition and run a secondary operating system like Linux on a secondary partition, that's a more secure way. Then number 4 is a live image. So you use a USB thumb drive to boot from and run your operating system from that. Numbers 5 and 6 are more advanced, and so we'll leave those alone. In this tutorial, we're going to cover number 2. In a future tutorial, we're going to cover number 4. So what are the steps necessary to complete this process for installing a virtual machine? The steps are as listed here, 3 steps. We're going to install VMware Fusion. VMware Fusion is the VMware version for Mac OS. VMware Workstation is the VMware version for Windows. So if you're a Windows user, you'll be installing VMware Workstation instead of Fusion. The second step is to install Ubuntu 2004 LTS long-term support. And then the third step is to install Daedalus inside the virtual machine that you installed and is running now inside the hypervisor VMware Fusion. So let's get to it. Let's start the process here. So let's download and install VMware by going to vmware.com and going to products, then scrolling down in this left-hand pane all the way down to desktop hypervisor. You will see a list of the different desktop hypervisors that are available. Fusion is the hypervisor for Mac. Workstation Pro is the hypervisor for Windows and for Linux. In my case, I'm using Fusion for Mac because I'm running a Mac OS box. When you land on the page, you'll see that there's a section here in gray that says you get a free personal license if you register, create an account. So go ahead and click on that link. When you do so, it'll ask you to create an account. If you don't already have one, once you create an account, you can then, you'll get access to a free license and you'll get access to the software to download. Once you do create the account, you'll have to register. There'll be a register button in there for you to hit. Once you register for the software, you'll get the license and you'll have the ability to download the software. Okay, so download the software. I already have a copy of it on my hard drive, so I'm not going to download it again. If I show you my downloads folder here, I got a copy of VMware Fusion. It's a .dmg package. It's about 653 megs. The second thing we need is to download the Ubuntu ISO. I'll show you where to do that. I've already downloaded it, but for you, you can go to the Ubuntu website, ubuntu.com, go to the downloads section, and then download the 2004 LTS version by clicking on this button. As soon as you click on this link here, it'll start to download. There you go. There's download begins. Let me stop it because I don't want to download it again. If you are so inclined, you can provide a contribution to Ubuntu. You can use these sliders to adjust the amount you want to contribute, but you don't have to. It's just it's optional. Help support the development of Ubuntu if you do so. Now, now that we have the two things, the two pieces of, we have the ISO, we have the installation file for VMware. You can go ahead and double click on the .dmg file here. This is the partial download that I stopped. Let me delete that. But you can click on the .dmg file and install VMware Fusion. It's a pretty simple installation. It's going to ask you for your password a couple of times just to get the authority to install the software on your operating system. Once it's complete, what you'll see is you'll see a window that looks like this. This is the first window that will appear here once the installation is complete. And this is where we will install the virtual machine from. Now, before you install the virtual machine, there's one last thing you have to do in order for this software to run properly within the Mac OS. You have to go into the system preferences and click on security and privacy. Underneath the general tab, you'll see this permissions section here that says, you know, what kind of apps you're allowed to download. Right now it's set to App Store and identified developers. What you'll see is, because VMware is running in the background, you'll see a message down here saying that VMware has been blocked by Apple. You're going to have to unlock this pane by clicking on this lock, entering your password. Once you enter your password, there will be an allow button here that appears. You can smash that allow button. That will give VMware the permissions it needs to run on the operating system. If you don't do that, you're going to get some funky errors because Mac OS is blocking the execution of the VMware program if you don't complete this step. Okay, so enough said there. Now let's start the installation of the virtual machine. What we're going to do is we're going to just click on the custom virtual machine button here. Click continue. We're going to select Linux and Ubuntu 64-bit. Click on continue. That is fine. We can use legacy BIOS. That's not a big deal. Click continue. We can create a new virtual disk. This is creating a hard drive for this virtual machine. Click continue. We're going to choose the size of this hard disk to be 40 gigs instead of 20 gigs. We're going to customize the settings here by clicking customize settings. I'm going to rename the machine Cardano Wallet and save that. And then we're going to customize several settings here. The memory and processor, you can up this number here to 8 gigs if you wish. 2 processors, 2 cores is fine. For Linux, you can leave it at 4 gigs. That should be okay too. I've got 16 gigs of memory and it doesn't really use up all 8 gigs at all times, so I'm not worried about it. I'm going to up the memory to 8 gigs for this example. And then the hard disk, we want to modify the size to 40 gig. Hit apply. That gives you plenty of room to grow. And the last thing here, so we got the memory and processor, the hard disk. the network adapter, the kind of connection is going to be shared with my Mac, which is basically a NAT connection. This means that the Mac is going to be proxying all connections to and from this virtual machine. That's fine, it's safe, leave it there. And the next thing we want to take a look at is the startup disk. Here we can choose the CD DVD. We can click on restart. When we do that, oh, there we go. It's first thing we need to do is we need to select what's going to be in the CD. So here, I'm going to connect the CD drive. Just click yes there. Okay, we need to add a device first. Click the CD. Let's stop the virtual machine because it's running before we add a device. Go to virtual machine, shut down the machine. All right, so we've got to add the optical drive, auto detect. We can choose a disk image. We're going to choose VMware Fusion.dmg. Click on open. Now go back to show all. Nope, my mistake. I added a second DVD, so let me go ahead and delete this device. There already was a CD. We just had to shut the machine off in order to get it to boot from the proper, then select the DMG to select to boot from the proper image. And here it's not the DMG you want to select. You want to select the Ubuntu ISO image. Okay, now we got the bootable ISO selected. Go back to show all. Now we power up the virtual machine. There we go. Now the operating system is ready to be installed here in a second. Just checking the disk. Okay, that check is good to go. Okay, we will click on install Ubuntu. Click on continue. Or select your keyboard layout if you're in a different country, you want to use a different language. Here, you can select normal installation, which has a lot more software that frankly you don't need. I would select the minimal installation instead. This just gives you the web browser and basic utilities. You can leave this selected, download the updates while installing Ubuntu. Saves a little bit of time. Hit continue here. We're going to select an advanced feature. We want to make sure that the hard drive is encrypted. So we're going to select use LVM and then encrypt the installation. When we click OK, it's going to click install now. We have to select the security key. Now, big warning here, make sure you remember this key. This is where it might be good for you to use a password manager, something like LastPass, to come up with the key and to store the key. Make sure you don't forget it. Enter your key twice. Click install now. Okay, this is just letting you know that I formatted and partitioned the hard drive into a swap and into a root partition. This is an automatic thing. This is fine for the purposes here. So I'm going to click continue. Select your time zone. I happen to be on the East Coast. That's fine for me. Now this is where you select create a user. Name your machine. I'm going to name it Cardano wallet. His name is going to be Vic. Here's our password. Again, make sure you remember this password. You select, use a password manager, save it, store it. Click continue. And now you just wait for the installation to complete. This may take, depending on your machine, they can take anywhere from 7 to 8 minutes to even upwards of 15 minutes. So grab a cup of coffee, go grab a drink, be patient. The installation will complete. Okay, the installation is now complete. Click on Restart Now. Okay, now it prompts you to remove the installation media and click Enter. Because the installation media is virtual, you don't need to uninstall it. Just click Enter. It'll be fine. All right, so now it's asking you for your encryption password. This is the security key that we set when we indicated that we wanted to encrypt the hard drive. Without this key, this machine will not boot. That's the message you want to see. Set up successfully. Now it is booting into the operating system. Now enter your password, the user you set up during the installation. Okay. We are now running Ubuntu 2004 LTS. A couple of things we have to do here. Post installation, skip these accounts. Skip this live patch, you don't need that. Click on do not send info and click on next here. You don't need any of that. And then click on done. Now the next thing we want to do is we want to update the OS with the latest updates. It's going to prompt us here in a second for software update. I clicked on the Ubuntu software store. Okay, now we see Ubuntu software. Is downloading here. Okay, now we see that we have 5 updates. We want to go ahead and update all, enter your password, authenticate. Just going to take a second. You see the progress. Expand this, get a better view. Just about done here. Okay, we can close that out. Next thing we want to do is we want to find a terminal window. Just click on the grid down there and click on and type terminal. Terminal window will come up. And we also want to open up Firefox. We now are ready to download Daedalus. So we're going to go to Daedalus wallet.io. Okay, got it. Make sure you see the lock here. You can even expect a certificate to make sure this is the website. This is the Deadalus website, and the right certificate is assigned to the website. But now what we want to do is click on the download button. And what we want to download is the Linux version of Deadalus. Let's go ahead and download that. Save the file. I also want to download the PGP signature. I'm also going to save that file. I'm going to use that signature to verify the executable. See the progress here. So the bin.asc is the signature file. That download is completed. The .bin file is the Deadalus installation file. That's still in progress. If you click on these instructions here, they lay out step by step how to verify the PGP signature, how to verify the checksum. We are going to do both here. So to verify the checksum, I'm going to use SHA-256 sum, and just copy that command, and that is the expected output there. So if we now go to the terminal window, I'm actually going to lay out, I'm going to open up just a little bit more, go to full screen, so I can have my windows set side by side. Another software updater. We will do this in a second once we validate the Daedalus install. So here, if you click if you type pwd print working directory, you'll see that I am in the directory home vic. This is the directory for my user. If I list the directory by typing ls, I'll see the directories that are underneath or inside my home directory. Now, what I want to do is change directories to downloads. That's where my files got downloaded to. List the directory again. I want to see my .bin file, which is the Deadalus installer, in my bin.asc file, which is the signature file. So I want to validate the checksum of the .bin file, copy that command. I'm going to paste it into this window, hit enter. And again, see the output here. You can validate that the output is the same as the output in this window here. That's good. That's what you expect. That means that the file has not been modified in flight. So you have the file that was posted by Deadalus. We also want to make sure that we verify the PGP signature, and that requires a few more steps. But again, there are good instructions here provided by the IOG team. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. First thing you want to do is install the GNU PGP package. Forgot to include the command sudo. Okay, enter your password. So package. Package has been installed. Next, we want to generate a key. Copy and paste it into the window. It's going to ask you for a real name, and real name has to be at least 5 characters, okay? And an email address. Then type O for OK. Enter your password. Actually, enter this. This is a passphrase for the PGP file. Enter a passphrase. Okay. Okay, your PGP key has now been created. I'm going to use that PGP key to sign the IOHK key. First, we have to download the IOHK key by typing the next command. We're looking for the key that ends in A9BA. Okay, so we have 3 keys. Key number 3 ends in A9BA. So we're going to type a 3 here and hit enter. Okay, now we've downloaded that key. Now we want to sign that key using this command. This is to indicate that we trust that key. Type yes. This is the passphrase. The key created. Okay. Now the IOHK key has been signed with your personal PGP key. Then last step is to verify the actual package. And now we are verifying that the signature of the .bin file, the installer, is legit and signed by IOHK. And that is exactly what we want to see. So we have validated the authenticity of the executable. All right. Now we're going to type ls again to list the directory. Notice that the file is white text. If I type ls-al, this shows me the rights of the file. What we should be seeing is an X here for executable, but we don't see it. So we're going to change the permissions on this file to 755. Don't worry about details of that. Just use those numbers to give you the ability to make the file executable. So that's change mod 755, the name of the Daedalus bin file. If we type ls again, now you see that it is green. This indicates that now this binary file is executable. The way we execute the installer is by typing a period / the period indicates this directory / and then type the name of the file and enter. This will take a few minutes. Okay, Deadalus is now installed. We can run Daedalus by clicking on the grid, and there it is. Click on Daedalus. It will come up in a second here. Click continue here. Agree to the terms and conditions. This is a message reminding people that the saturation is going to be 64 million once K goes from 150 to 500. This is happening on December 6th. So if you're in a pool with more than 64 million in stake, then you will be losing rewards. Enough said. Click the X there, and now you have the interface where you can create your wallet, or you can restore your current wallets into this environment using Deadalus. All right, hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. That's it. Thanks for watching.